Hello, I'm Andrew Blake from Giesens Wine in Marlborough, New Zealand. We've got a couple of wines that we sell really well over here in Australia, and particularly up here in Queensland, they go really well. Sauvignon Blanc, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with. This is our estate label, and we source that from about 28 different vineyards in Marlborough. And every year we keep that as consistent as we can, while trying to improve the quality of the fruit from those vineyards. It's a style that's really fresh, really fruity, with a really nice acidity on the palate, and perfect for these hot conditions, which I find incredibly, incredibly overpowering. So that's that's a beautiful wine, and we sell it really well over here. Anyway, and this is another Sauv Blanc that we produce in Marlborough. Every year we go through each of these vineyards and try and select the best parcels of fruit that we can at an early stage. If we can't do that, we wait until the juice or the wine is in the winery. And there's always going to be 4 or 5 tanks that just put their hand up and say, pick me, I'm the best from this vintage. So each vintage we'll select the best tanks we can, best parcels of juice, and keep those separate. And we'll do a blend of those ones, and stylistically that'll be whatever the vintage produces. So it can be stylistically different from one year to the next, whereas this label here is consistent from one year to the next. And volume-wise, again, this is it's whatever the vintage produces. In 2008, there's 3,000 cases. Next year, it might be 1,000 cases. So we're trying to stay true to a reserve label, and just make sure we put the best possible wine in the bottle. And that's more, it tends to be more concentrated. You've got the ripe gooseberries and tropical fruit, still with a really nice pure acidity, so it carries, and if anything, the wine will have better longevity, so it'll last, say, 4 or 5 years in the bottle. Whereas often you're talking about drinking this within 12 months, 24 months. So each year that's what we're working on. We've got another project that we're working on in the vineyard where we're reducing crop levels to about half our traditional volumes, so about 2.5 tonnes per acre without getting too technical. And we're going to be whole bunch pressing, so obviously it's hand picked. We'll be fermenting an old oak, not for oak flavour, but just for the way it develops in the smaller containers. And inoculated yeast, so we're going to go for a really complex style, possibly more European style, but focusing on structural aspects of the palate rather than just fruit punch. Okay.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
No problem. Yep.
Yeah, all right?
Yep.
What inspired your passion for wine?
Well, what I did, I actually studied horticulture to start with, followed by spending a year up in Gisborne in the North Island of New Zealand, and some of the people I met there were really passionate winemakers, and they suggested, if I'm really into it, just go. I actually studied in Australia, went to Roseworthy in Adelaide, and so spent a year there, and then started doing a few harvest vintages around Hunter Valley, down to Coonawarra, and then spent a few years over in France, Chile, and Spain. So that was, it was incredible working with different varieties and that sort of thing. Yeah.
What wine would you give as a gift to someone close to you?
I knew you were going to ask that question. Probably a Pinot Noir. Probably a Pinot Noir. There's some really, really amazing wines out there. I should say Sauv Blanc, shouldn't I? Is that a trick question?
No, you can say any wine. It doesn't have to be one of your own. Any wine.
Yeah, no, I think I'll probably, more often than not, maybe a Pinot Noir. Yeah.
What is your present favourite food and wine combination?
So what, Sauv Blanc with scallops. On this trip we've been to Sydney, Melbourne, Sydney, and up here, of course. never had so much good seafood in my life, and fresh seafood. And one of the best dishes we had was there's scallops in some sake, and that was beautiful with a bit of a sort of a relish on top. It was just done really well with saffron.
Okay, past or present, who would you most like to sit and have a glass of wine with?
Past or present? Oh, it's a very difficult question. Oh, you know what? I'll probably sit down with some of my old mates from France, because some of the locations that we've had just sat there in these surroundings, drinking just an average rosé from Bordeaux or somewhere like that. Some of those have been my best experiences. So probably do that.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
No worries at all.